So 2 years ago, I made a video reviewing the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It was a pretty long video, and it was also the first video on my channel. It's not that good. Like, I still stand by what I said in it, but quality-wise, it's a very rough video. At the end of the video, though, I made the prediction that the second movie would be just as bad as the first one. I don't think Blumhouse is going to do anything different with the sequel. It's going to end up being just as bad as the first movie. And after that, I had really no intentions of seeing the second movie. I wanted to leave FNAF in the past and just move on. I got other things to make. I have 1-hour videos about games you never heard of to make. But then, after the movie came out, I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score for the film. 14%, sorry, 12%, it got worse. Just for clarification, the first FNAF movie had around 33%, which is what I expected for the second movie. But a 12%? The Bye Bye Man has a higher score than FNAF 2, and that's one of the worst horror movies I ever watched.
Don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it!
I'm afraid of putting this into your head.
Tell me.
Bye bye, man.
You want to know what else has a higher score on Rotten Tomatoes than FNAF 2? Pixels. With Adam Sandler. Scott Cawthon's a bad guy? The low critic score certainly created a lot of discussion online, but surely it can't be that bad, right? Like, there's no way that this movie is worse than Dragon Ball Evolution, right? It can't be worse than the Assassin's Creed movie, right? Can it? Well, it's definitely worse than Pixels, that's for sure.
We got trouble.
I want to start off with some positives about this movie. I said in my last review that the animatronics didn't do a whole lot in the movie and they felt incredibly underutilized. Well, in the second movie, they do a whole lot more, which is really awesome. Chica squishes a guy's head like Omni-Man and I love it. There is a lot more scares in the movie and a lot more PG-13 gore, and I did criticize the last movie for not taking advantage of the PG-13 rating, but in this movie, they did the best they could and I really appreciate it. It still didn't really make the whole thing scary. I mean, having the animatronics talk just kind of removed any sort of fear factor that they had. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once again, the amount of detail and care put into making the animatronics is really awesome, and I can tell that there was a lot more effort put into making them. Especially with animatronics like the Mangle. Like, from what I've heard, they had to have, like, multiple puppeteers in order for that thing to move around. It's really cool to see on the screen. Piper Rubio did an incredible job. I think out of all the actors in the movie, she gave the best performance. And the opening scene, despite its problems, was really awesome and did a good job at setting the stage for the movie. I just want to mention, again, how happy I am that they actually tried to make the movie scary this time. Like, there's no pillow fort building scenes or MatPat showing up to kill the momentum of the film. Instead, he voices one of the animatronics.
Don't you tell me how many calories I need, bitch!
There's multiple scenes in the movie where the marionette possesses other people, and when she possesses Abby, it's like genuinely unsettling, which I did not expect at all in this movie. So congratulations, FNAF 2! You are now officially considered a horror movie. Next week, they'll be able to attend the first grade! Alright, let's rip the band-aid off. FNAF 2 was not a good movie. For some reason, Scott Cawthon has a habit of introducing tidbits of lore and then never answering them, like the box in FNAF 4. It's been 10 years, but we still don't know what's inside of it. That writing habit seems to carry over to this film. It introduces so many new bits of information and lore, but it doesn't build off on it or answer any of the questions that they give. I'll start off with some easy examples. So, remember how Aunt Jan died in the first movie? Yeah, apparently she lived. Not only did she live, but apparently she lived enough to the point where she was able to tell the whole story about the incident that happened. And for some reason, the custody case between her and Mike is just never brought up again. And because of Aunt Jan telling stories about the incident, now the entire town is just obsessed with the Freddy Fazbear's establishment and brand, like so much to the point that an event called FazFest is happening later on in the movie, which is really funny considering the only reason why the brand is being talked about again is because of the crimes connected to it. It's like making an entire convention based on John Wayne Gacy. Now, the best part about FazFest, however, is that it serves absolutely zero purpose whatsoever in the movie. It's introduced like it's a big plot point and that a final showdown is gonna happen at the event with a whole bloodbath of dead children and parents, but I guess that they remembered that this film is meant for kids, so that doesn't happen. The movie introduces the setting of Fast Fest, but then does nothing with it. Similarly to how they introduce Michael Afton in the movie, but don't do anything with him until the very end. Ew. Michael Afton, played by Jeremy Albertson. He's the son of William Afton and brother of Vanessa. Man, it's been a while since I did that. He's introduced as the tour guide for these ghost hunter characters who are sorta meant to be this movie's Team Umizoomi. That's a reference to my last FNAF video. Just like the movie, I'm gonna make references and just not explain it at all and just expect you to get it. Basically, the ghost hunters exist just to be killed in brutal ways, just like the first movie. Basically, to just show off the animatronics. And Jerma over here just leads them all to their death, and afterwards he just disappears from the film until the very end. Michael Afton in the games was sort of the main protagonist. He's the security guard for FNAF 1, 3, Sister Location, and Pizzeria Simulator. Seeing the inclusion of his character in the movie be flipped on his head to the point where he is no longer trying to stop his father, but instead trying to carry on his legacy is interesting. And I wish the film did more with it, but they really didn't. Okay, so those are some of the new inclusions that the movie made, but let's actually take a second to talk more about these characters and how much they changed from the first movie. First, there's Vanessa. Remember how she ended up in a coma at the end of the first movie? Apparently the writers didn't, because she's awake, and it's just never brought up again. It's like the coma served zero purpose whatsoever to the ending of the first movie, because I swear to God, nobody brings it up. It's like it never even happened. That seems like a really important detail and should be mentioned again, not to just be brushed aside, because although we get more lore on Vanessa and her character, there are things like this that are just forgotten about. Did Scott Cawthon just forget to actually build on that the same way that he forgot to do something with the box? Perhaps some things are better left forgotten. I don't know, I feel like it would be pretty hard to forget that one of the main characters was in a coma! Okay, so that's not really consistent with the movie, but one thing that is consistent is Vanessa's daddy issues. She starts having PTSD about her father, and it causes her to almost shoot her workout partner. Now that's the Vanessa I remember, always trigger happy and strapped. Hey, I have a question. Is Vanessa still a cop, or did the movie just forget that detail as well? By the third movie, are they also going to forget that Vanessa is related to William? Now, I will be fair here, because the Sonic movies also seem to forget that Tom was a cop in the first movie, and those movies I really loved. But also, you didn't see Tom whip out a gun randomly in the second and third movie. It's just really hilarious because if you don't have the context of the first movie when heading into the second one, you're just going to see that Vanessa is a normal civilian who just pulls out a gun randomly sometimes. I think the FNAF movie remembered that Vanessa shot her father, but forgot why she had a gun in the first place. I ain't complaining though, I was laughing like a hyena in the theater when she just randomly pulled out a gun on civilians. Abby's character didn't change much, although I will say, I'm really happy they dropped the whole she's weird because she draws storyline, and now she feels more like a realistic character. She's still incredibly naive and purposely puts herself in more danger, despite all of the trauma that she experienced from the last film. There's like a science fair that happens in the film, and I'm not even kidding, she brought Toy Chica to the fair and won. This was because her original science fair submission was like a tiny robot Chica, and then her teacher broke it because he just hates autistic people, and then Abby was like, "He broke my toy!" So Megan Fox crushed the teacher's head like a watermelon. It's very obvious that they wanted this teacher character. I think his name is Bert. Who the hell names their kid Bert? It's very obvious they wanted Bert to be this movie's Aunt Jan. I just hope in the third movie they don't reveal that Bert survived the same way Aunt Jan did, because there's no way that his skull isn't caved in. Bert was a really weird character. His whole idea was that he felt that the Freddy craze in Fast Fest was an insult to robotics, so he just starts bullying Abby and destroying her creations because that's just what he's meant to do. I've had some pretty shitty teachers in my past, but none that were this cartoonishly evil. I won't lie, I think the reason why I loved Aunt Jan was because she was so cartoonishly evil that it just made any scene with her unintentionally funny. But with this movie, Bert just feels like a budget version of that character. Oh, Bert, you're no Aunt Jan. Let's see, Mike's character changed quite a bit, in the sense that he isn't really a bad parent anymore. He found peace over Garrett's death, which is nice. I still can't get over how he almost sacrificed Abby to the dead kids. There's this weird storyline where, like, Mike is implied to have feelings for Vanessa and has a date with her at a restaurant where the only thing they eat is bread. Hell yeah, girl dinner. It's just funny to me because Vanessa literally threatened to shoot Mike and threw his medication in the river, and for some reason he wants to go on a date with her. I mean, if that's what you're into, man, I'm not gonna stop you. But here's the best part, right? This is never brought up again for the rest of the movie. They go on a date and imply a storyline of these two becoming romantic partners, and it gets dropped instantly. Look guys, I'm not trying to be rude, but please, stop trying to do so many things at once, one storyline at a time. You're gonna overwhelm yourself if there's so many things going on in the movie. William Afton somehow has even less screen time than he did in the first movie, and once again, it's hard for me to get a grasp on if Matthew Lillard is a good actor when I'm not even kidding. MatPat has more screen time than him. MatPat plays Toy Bonnie, and he did an alright job. There isn't enough scenes of Lillard for me to determine if he is good in his role of William Afton. I think the amount of combined screen time that he has as William Afton in both of these movies is less than the amount of time that my first FNAF video is. They announced that Skeet Ulrich was going to play Henry Emily, who is William Afton's business partner in the games. Skeet also played Billy Loomis in Scream, who is Stu's gay lover in the movie, so obviously I was excited because these two already have a good established chemistry on screen, so we might see them face off in the movie. Henry Emily is only in one scene and is never seen again. And he never even mentions that he worked for William Afton, so if you don't know FNAF lore, you're just going to see Skeet Ulrich play some guy and then disappear. Henry Emily is the father of Charlotte, who dies at the beginning of the movie and haunts the marionette. He puts up posters protesting FastFest with flyers saying, and I quote, I have to say it and I quote because you would not believe me otherwise. Freddy's is murder. I don't understand how he thought people would take a flyer like that seriously. ChatGPT, generate me a poster protesting Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. But back to what I was saying. Both William Afton and Henry Emily, two of the most important characters in FNAF lore, do absolutely nothing in this movie. I know that William is dead, but I at least wish we got some flashback scenes that would show us the history of Vanessa's relationship with her father or something like that. Similarly to how Jigsaw dies in like the first 3 Saw movies, and then for the rest of the franchise, he's just appearing in flashbacks and still getting a heavy amount of screen time. Matthew Lillard was barely in these movies. I understand why people like Quentin Tarantino dislike his acting, because there's a big lack of it in recent films he's in. I still believe that Steve Zahn should have played William Afton. I knew that suit had a spring lock in it, and everyone was trying to make me feel like I was losing my mind! Now, a big problem this movie has that the last movie suffered from was that it relied way too much on using Easter eggs to tell the story. Easter eggs that only die-hard FNAF fans will get. Hell, I got all of the Easter eggs, and I still had no idea what was going on in this movie. During a dream sequence with Vanessa, we are shown Baby, who in the FNAF lore is possessed by Elizabeth Afton, the daughter of William Afton. However, in this movie, Baby is just there to make fans pog at the screen. She has zero purpose whatsoever to the story, at least not yet. There's a whole scene in the movie that replicates the gameplay of FNAF 2, but again, it's expecting the audience to understand the mechanics, like how the Freddy mask works and why it can't work on Foxy. The lore of the movies is much different from the games, I understand that. But if you're gonna borrow mechanics and lore from the games, you need to actually connect it to your current movie lore. You can't just expect fans to do the work for you. My favorite part about going and watching a movie. The homework I gotta do before it. The withered animatronics are in this movie, but they don't have an actual established purpose as to why they even exist. They're called prototypes, I think? Look, I'm gonna be honest, at this point in the film, I was 3 Slurpees deep and I was too nauseous to even retain a lot of information, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Oh, and then there's also an Easter egg to the first film with the reintroduction of Doug, Aunt Jan's custody lawyer. See, the toy animatronics were trying to kill some parents because they didn't help Charlotte when she said that a kid was being kidnapped 20 years ago. So the parents are able to escape and end up on the lawn of Doug's house, and then Doug just goes, "It sounds like you guys might need a lawyer," which, first off, Doug, you're a custody lawyer. The f*** are you gonna do? Sue the marionette over custody of the animatronics? That would actually be a much better storyline for this movie now that I think about it. Secondly, the movie is trying to make it seem like this is like an Avengers Endgame type of theater moment, but Doug barely did anything in the first movie. I liked him, but he certainly wasn't a big enough deal for me to care about him in his cameo. There are a lot of theater moments that this film has, like how a Freddy plush does the Freddy beatbox meme, and it just feels so unearned. I know I keep bringing up the Sonic movies, okay? But at least in those films, when they make a reference to a meme, it's not shoved in your face. Like the Sonic drawing being flashed on screen for a single second, Robotnik asking Knuckles to help him find the way, and Shadow being interested in a telenovela. It feels natural in terms of the movie, but the way FNAF references memes is by going, "Hey guys, look, it's MatPat, jingle jingle jingle. Look at the Freddy plush, it's playing the beatbox meme, jingle jingle jingle." It feels less natural and more so just the film jingling keys in front of the audience. The showdown with the animatronics was really cool. It led to a lot more lore about Michael Afton and Vanessa. Michael wants to direct the animatronics to the Faz Fest and create a bloodbath because... What, I already said why. But then the toy animatronics are destroyed by the original animatronics who saved the day. They then break down because their souls are now going to heaven, and Abby hopes to see them there someday. Ah, good old Scott Cawthon and his Christianity. Hey, did you guys know that Scott Cawthon donated his share of profits from the first FNAF movie to charity? It's true. Google Scott Cawthon donations to learn more. We finally see Mike as fed up with Vanessa and cuts her out of his life, saying that he can't trust her, which he really should have done after she threatened to shoot him. I still can't get over the fact that he was cool with that. Vanessa is then possessed by the marionette, and this will set up the third and final act of the movie. A massive showdown is going to happen at Faz Fest. The marionette is the last final enemy to take down, and they need to stop her before she creates a fucking catastrophe at the Faz Fest. Wait, if the marionette is possessing Vanessa, does that mean... Oh shit, does Vanessa still have her gun on her? We still have the marionette to worry about, and who knows what will happen at Faz Fest. Things are about to get crazy! Wait, that's it? The movie's over?
There's nothing.
Scott Cawthon betrayed us! I'm not kidding, after this movie ended, I was convinced that we were accidentally shown an unfinished version of the film, because there's no way you can build all of this up and then not deliver on it in the slightest. All of these plot points felt so hollow when practically nothing gets resolved in this movie. I think the best way I can compare the pacing and ending of this film to another movie would be Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. In that film, literally nothing happens for the duration of it, and the final showdown ends up being a cop-out. Now, people have looked back on Attack of the Clones much nicer since the release of Revenge of the Sith, since they can just jump from one film to the next and then pick up where the last one left off. But that didn't change the fact that Attack of the Clones was the most boring film in the prequel trilogy. Oh wait, I forgot to do the thing. Limus made another Star Wars reference! Limus made another Star Wars reference! Woo woo woo! I can't really call the ending of FNAF 2 a cliffhanger because I don't think that word applies to this. A cliffhanger would be like revealing that the villain is still alive after the resolution is already shown and the day is saved. You know, like the last movie was. What this film basically did was end the movie in the middle of the show-off with the villain. That's not ending the film on a cliffhanger, that's just not finishing your movie. Now, with all of that said, I still had a fun time watching this movie, but I can't recommend it in the slightest. The way I would describe this film is junk food cinema. It tastes so good when you're watching it, but after you finish it, you're just sitting there like, did I seriously just do that to my body? And I don't think you should be filling up on junk food and doing that to yourself. But if junk food is making people happy, then who am I to say that it's wrong? Some people just want to turn their brains off and watch a movie, and that's valid. I don't think a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes is deserved, but I definitely understand it. This movie appeals to only FNAF fans, and the thing about being a FNAF fan is that you are already familiar with the taste of slop. So, when all you have ever eaten was slop, then slop is just going to taste like normal food to you. And that's what this movie is. Slop that's going to taste like normal food to a FNAF fan. So, do I want a third movie? Not really. Is a third one gonna come out? Look at the box office numbers. I think this movie was doomed the minute that the director flat out said that she is only interested in pleasing fans of FNAF and doesn't care about criticism from critics. That's literally their job. Again, I think a 12% is rough, but the movie isn't a 12% because people didn't understand the FNAF lore. Even if you understood every reference and Easter egg, it's still a dull movie. FNAF literally would not exist if Scott Cawthon didn't listen to criticism about his older games. The majority of people going to see this movie are FNAF fans and people who want to watch a good horror movie. You should be appealing to both audiences instead of alienating one. I will say, just to end this video on a semi-related note, you don't need to clap when a movie ends. None of the people who made the movie are in the theater with you. Why yes, I am a joy at parties. Why do you ask?
My number must be mistaken. It's in your head. My letters, they